Alright, what's going on, guys? So we got Jake Harfoushian here. He's going to show us his Majin Vegeta deck. This got first place at our locals last week, and it was requested by one of our subscribers. So let's get straight into it, Jake. So what are we playing?
So we have the Vegeta Bobby leader. Let's run through its skills real quick. On the front side we have Overlord. You bottom deck a card with Servant, draw one card. Very nice for cards that we'll get into in a moment. Its auto, which is something I quite like, is when you swing, you take a card from your life, draw a card, and this card gets 5k and double strike. Massive for this leader. It's early aggro, early self-awaken, and fantastic early draws, which really puts you at that advantage. So when you're swinging turn 1, turn 2, it really sort of helps you gain that advantage over your opponent. And then we have his Awaken. He awakens at 5, which is great for reasons that we'll see soon. And you restand 2 energy. Already, that is huge. As this deck in particular pops off turn 2, that means turn 2, if you self-awaken, if you take yourself down to 5, you are essentially playing with 4 energy for that turn. On the back side, we have Overlord again, once per turn. Then its activate main, its first activate main is the same as this auto. However, now you can use this anytime during your turn, which just adds that flexibility. It's fantastic. Its second activate main, however, this is where the leader gets really interesting. Once per turn, you pay 1 green. You may look at the bottom card of your deck, and if it is a green Vegeta with 3 or less energy with the Servant skill, you can play it out. There are only 2 targets for that in this deck. The first, of course, being the promo Vegeta. Nice card, good self-awakening, but that's not really what you're looking for with this skill. What you are looking for, the gold standard, is this here, Prince of Destruction Vegeta, Life and Death. This card is fantastic. It has Servant, which bumps it up to 30k. It has Double Strike. So a 30k Double Strike swing for 1 energy, massive. Not only that, whenever your opponent counters, he restands once per turn. Huge, huge, huge card, and it just adds so much synergy to the deck, because now that is extra pressure and extra threats to your opponent not to counter, not to block your attacks. Fantastic, honestly, kind of makes the deck. However, obviously, these 2 cards won't kill your opponent alone. That is why you start going into the blue chain. Now, this is quite sizable. This is 28 cards in total. I'll get into why in a moment, but let's go through the basic chain. First, we have the field card. Only run 2 of this. Whenever you take a life, you put a card under this deck. When you have 4 cards under this, you may send this and the cards under it to the drop and play out a 3-drop Boo. The Boos that you're going to be playing are either this one here, Majin Buu, looking for a fight, or Majin Buu, Ghastly Energy. This one here has Deflect and KOs a 4-drop on play. Meanwhile, this has Barrier, and I can neg a Unison, an opponent's Unison, by 1. Now, being able to choose between Barrier and Deflect is massive, because it means that you have that flexibility in different matchups. More often than not, I find that Deflect and KOing something is far more viable, especially when you're usually playing this card out turn 2. So that's just why I run 3. However, being able to play around counterplays, which the thing that KOs it isn't in the counterplay skill, but rather in the auto, things like the Frieza counterplay, or even things like Vegeta the Cool, this card is phenomenal as well. So 3 and 2, I wouldn't really add too much more than this, because you're pulling it from deck or drop, so you see it pretty easily, and you need to save a lot of space, because, by God, this card has a lot of things in it. So immediately then, you will use one of the 3-star Dark Dragon Balls, chuck that under, and play out a 5-drop Boo from deck or from hand. And of course, this is Majin Buu, Dark Parasite. Fantastic card. It has Deflect to deal with nasty little counterplays like the Trunks, and once you play it out, you neg a card from your Unison. If you do that, you neg a card from your opponent's Unison. They choose 1 card in their hand, discard it in one of their battle cards, and KO it. Fantastic removal. It helps just add a little bit more pressure onto them, as with this card, you're basically dealing with counters. Removing cards from the hand is their way to deal with their combo power. You only run this at 3, because again, you're searching it out with the Dark Dragon Balls. It's very, very rare that you're not going to find this either in hand or in deck. Then, we evolve this for 1 energy into Majin Buu, Royal Absorption. 7-drop, dual strike, double attack, 25k. Huge pressure because you are getting this card out turn 2 the majority of your games. This is the goal. And that's really all he is. Huge pressure on your opponent. His auto, however, is where this card gets very stupid. When he is removed from the battle area by a skill, you may choose a 3-drop Boo and a ball from your drop area. You may play out the Boo, add the ball to hand. So you kill him, immediately he plays out, and you get him back to hand, which means you can put him under, immediately go back up to the 5-drop, then back up to the 7. It gets really nutty how much you can recycle.
How many Boo 7s are we running? Are we 4?
You run 4,
Yep.
Because currently there is nothing to search out the Boo 7, so you have to see him in hand turn 2.
Yep.
There'll be things later, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. Now, this chain is very, very nice. However, the problem with it is that you need to see a lot of pieces. In your hand, in your opening hand, or at the very latest, by your opening hand turn 2, you need to see the Dark Dragon Ball and this Boo, and you need to see this card first turn. It is vital you see him first turn, otherwise that puts you way, way, way back. So to deal with that, I only run 2 of the field card because it ends up being a dead card later game. So instead of running more field cards, you run 4 of Babidi, Evil, Mastermind. 1 drop, you play him out, and it plays out the field card from deck, or he looks at the top 7 for a Servant with Vegeta, which is fantastic because it keeps him relevant in later turns, which is fantastic. So put him at 4. However, sadly, that's not quite enough for this deck, because that means you're only running about 6 field cards. You want more, so what you do is you run Hachiak, Vengeful Agent of Destruction. Essentially, you pay 1, discard him, play Babidi from deck, which then plays the field card from deck. And you run him at 3, which puts you at, technically, about 9 field cards.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's taking everything that I have, all self-restraint, not to bump this up to 4, just to make sure that you see him.
Yeah, and the good thing is, like, they're combo rather than having field cards.
Exactly.
In a late game where you have to try to, like, we're pushing or you're having to defend at some point. You've got that.
If you see
get
these
them,
late game, it's dead, but
Yep.
thankfully these are just nice combo pieces.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is the field card. However, on the other hand, to find the ball, as we only run 4 of him, to make it a bit easier to find him, we also run the Demon God Deborah. You discard him, remove a marker from your unison, and then you can pull one of these out from your deck. Just again, extra consistency to make sure that you are jumping up from the 3 to the 5 immediately, and hopefully you have the 7 in hand.
Do you usually find by, like, your turn 2, turn 3, you've seen enough cards that you do get the ball in hand?
Yes.
Yep.
Usually, most games you find ball,
Yeah.
but this card is just a safety net,
Yeah,
really.
if you need.
Yeah, absolutely. But usually you have the pieces in hand. The only thing you're really going to be missing is maybe the 7-drop, and there's nothing much you can do about that one until the expansion comes out in about 2 weeks' time, I believe. So, that is the Boo Chain. It is 28 cards in total, which is massive, which doesn't leave a lot of room for other things. The next things you want to prioritize are 4 of this Vegeta, because he is just phenomenal. And then, the other thing is, to start that Boo Chain, you need to get yourself down to 4 life by turn 2. So to do that, you need some Self-Awakening. The leader already acts as some Self-Awakening, which is nice. You can take 2 life with it on 1 turn, if you awaken. But to push it that extra mile, what you want to play out are these and these. The 1-drop promo Vegeta's, you play it out for 1, take a life, and immediately he gains a double strike for the turn. He has Servant. And then Dodoria, the Cold-Blooded. When you swing with him, take 1 card from your life, he gets double strike and 10k. Classic Self-Awakening cards.
How many are you running of each?
Sorry?
How many are you running of each?
For the Dodoria, I would run 4 of the Vegeta. However, sadly, I only have 2 because they're in short supply. So instead, I run 2 Zabuto, which is the same.
Same as Dodoria. Yeah.
But you want 8 Self-Awakened cards.
Yep.
So you see at least 1. So you'd see at least 1 by turn 2, so you're able to combo out with it.
Yep.
So, by turn 2, you've already gotten a lot of double strike swings with your Self-Awaken, your leader, the 3-drop Vegeta, and the 7-drop Boo. But what's better than extra pressure? It's extra pressure for free, which is why we play SS3, Son Goku, Man on a Mission. This card's stupid. It's Overwhelm 6, immediately double strike crit, 20k, fantastic card. It's just extra pressure for free, really.
Yeah, and especially with the Majin Buu ball, as soon as you discard that, there's 5 cards already in there. Straight away, very easy to get this back out on top of having the Buu as well.
I am honestly thinking of bumping this up to 3 because this just makes that turn so much stronger.
Just to make sure you see it on that turn.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And that is the majority of our beaters. That's kind of very standard for this deck. The other things that we run here, just this sort of tech, we have the Super Combo, Great Saiyaman Super Combo, new, green. You know it, you love it, it's fantastic, especially as you have to bottom deck something to draw 2, which works fantastic with this. So the play usually is play this out, swing with it, combo bumping you up to a 30k double strike crit, bottom deck this, draw 2, play him out for 1 energy, which is just a lot of power. Again, turn 2, turn 3, whenever you play him. For negates, we run 2 Shocking Death Balls. You don't want to run more than that, if I'm being honest. I'll leave him there. You don't want to run much more than him, because really it starts to clog up your hand. Dormant Potential Unleashed is also fantastic. However, sometimes it isn't as relevant because you really want to kill them later. But if you have the card, why not run it, really?
Most of the time you don't have your Unison on board when you're going for game anyway as
exactly,
well. So
really. Speaking of the Unison, actually, we have Demigra, gold standard for green Unison. The reason you run him is he's 1 cost, he is cheap, and you want something cheap to make sure that your Majin Buus are live, that your Deboras are live, and that your counterplays are live. You only run 2 of these because they aren't super relevant, but when they are very nice just to help deal with the opponent's board, because it's just nice to keep removing things, and it's good for games that go a little bit later, because that -3 is just fantastic removal.
Wait, I'm 4 of him?
Sorry?
4?
4 of him,
yeah,
yes, because you just want to see him.
Yeah, turn 1 if you can.
Yeah, turn 1, turn 2.
Yes.
So the play is usually turn 1, you play out the field card.
Yep.
Turn 2, you play out him and a Self-Awakening, and then get yourself down to 4, and then continue on with the Buu chain.
Yep.
The final card in the deck is the Cell Xeno Secret Rare. However, sadly, with this deck, you rarely actually get to 5 energy, so you are just sort of using him for that extra pressure. This is a game ender when you need that final swing to push through and kill your opponent.
Yep.
However, he's a bit hard to get out. What you're usually going to be hoping for is one of the 7-drop and one of the Friezas. Otherwise, you'll usually go for one of the Majin Buus, one of the Vegetas, and then 2 of the 1-drops.
Yeah. Which, most of the time they're getting bottom deck, so you draw more cards off as well.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. You might have like one of these out and one of the Babidis out.
Yeah, yeah.
Which works well. But, yeah, so it's not a card
doesn't come up a lot.
It's not a card that you rely on.
Yep.
But if a game is going later, maybe turn 3, turn 4, you need that extra pressure to kill.
Yep.
This card really helps out in that sort of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is the deck list as a whole. It's fairly simple because, again, this chain just takes up so much space because you need it to be consistent. And other than that, it really is just a case of applying pressure with the Vegeta, the Buu, and then occasionally Man on a Mission.
Yeah. Now, is there any changes you will make when the anniversary box comes out? Well, not the anniversary, the expansion
set.
Yeah,
absolutely.
the expansion set.
There is a new 3-drop Majin Buu. What it essentially does is when you play it out, you search out a 7 or less Majin Buu, which is phenomenal for getting this guy out. However, he doesn't have deflect, doesn't have barrier. He is just completely vulnerable when you play him.
Yep.
So I'd only run him at maybe 2.
Yep.
Just to, if I don't see him in hand, make the deck that much more consistent.
Yep. What do you think you'd change? Like, what would you take out some of the other low-cost Buus, or would you just add them in on
Honestly,
top?
currently the deck is at 55 cards, which is far too much.
Mm-hmm.
I would be thinking maybe taking out one of the Demigods, maybe taking out the counterplays.
Yep.
And then, yeah, probably one of the other 3-drop boos.
Yes, yeah. Just do a 2/2/2.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah.
You're running it a bit tight, but you kind of have to, because again, this just takes up so much space to make
Yes.
it consistent.
Awesome. All right, sweet. That's great. Thank you very much for the deck profile, Jake. So
worries.
if you guys like this content, please remember to subscribe and then also hit that bell to stay notified when we update, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.